Hey everybody, it's Andrew Gaffney with Demand Gen Report. We're here at BBMX. I'm joined by Andrew Marr from Triblio. Thanks for joining me today.
Yep.
I wanted to catch up with you because one of our really popular sessions in the ABM track today was with Gigster.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in perspective from them on what ABM looks like, the ABM journey looks like for a startup company. You work with them closely. I was hoping you could expand on a little bit about sort of what you've learned, what you think other clients might learn from their journey.
Yeah, well, account-based is a great approach for a startup. Usually startups, or very frequently anyway, startups are driven by a lot of outbound sales anyway. It's just not being prioritized very well, and it's really more driven by cold lists and sales instincts. What an account-based approach allows you to do is prioritize your accounts, using things like intent data and engagement, and go after the ones programmatically that have the highest chance of close. So I think it's a great approach for startups, and we're seeing that with them. They've been able to build a really clear program. What's also fun about working with startups is that you just get to walk them all the way from kind of the crawl to walk to run stages.
Right.
So in her session today, she talked about what the early stages of their build out look like, adding kind of one channel at a time, making sure that sales knows the right plays to be running, and those are going to get more sophisticated over time. So it's great, and yeah, Erin's a great example of an ABM leader.
Yeah.
Who's someone to watch.
And they're buttoned up, their organization,
Yeah.
great marketing organization. When you look more broadly at marketing practitioners, other ABM practitioners, who do you see getting it right? What are they doing when you look at the folks that you're like, yeah, they're doing it right? What are they doing that maybe others are struggling with?
Yeah, I think the really experienced folks, you can tell because they know to bring their sales reps along from the very beginning and not try to make account-based marketing work as a marketing-only initiative and as a kind of a replacement for the lead funnel that has no touch points with sales. So we think about reps or marketers who know how to do a good pilot program where they pick a few really good reps that they have good relationships with and start their ABM program working on their accounts. And also knowing how to add channels over time, not trying to do too much at once. It's going to be overwork for their team, but adding the right levels of nurture across different channels, what's going to make the biggest difference. So that experienced view of bringing in sales and knowing which channels to prioritize, I think is a few of the things we look at, and I think they've done this before.
So it seems like a fairly instinctive thing about sales and sales and marketing alignment, something we've been talking about in Demand Gen Report forever, but it's still something that people are kind of re-struggling with around ABM. What do you see that sort of marketing needs to do to get sales bought in? How do you do that? How do you do that right in terms of getting the sales and marketing coordination early on?
Well, I think one big part that we see work well of getting sales bought in is to not treat sales getting bought in as a one-time event where you get a field of 20 or 50 or 100 reps all bought in at the same time. So we always see our most successful customers starting with a pilot group who they know they can get great results for, and then those sales reps who are the early adopters of the program end up being the ones to evangelize the approach to everyone else and starts to win buy-in for building pipeline in this new way, focusing on a different type of accounts, prioritizing things differently. So that's one really critical component of getting sales buy-in. I think the other one is just to be leading with results and being able to show that, hey, these opportunities exist that you weren't aware of. We have accounts that are beginning to show engagement and they haven't talked to us yet, but showing that these cadences convert better, showing that multi-channel works better, and just leading with results, things that sales can see, is also critical.
Yeah, that's a great idea because sort of goes back to the idea of sort of building off of what your A reps are doing, so
Exactly.
you can show the results and you can show some building block approach. So that's really smart. I wanted to go back to Gigster because you had some really great thoughts around why it makes sense maybe for a startup.
Yeah.
I wanted to flip that to enterprises. So I think it can be a little more intimidating for maybe larger companies to do ABM or to sort of get to the next level with ABM. What are some of the nuances you see for enterprise type companies that might be struggling with it, or sort of what the model and formula should look like for enterprise companies?
Yeah, well, so clearly the build out is going to look very different because you're not building something from scratch. So there's already a demand gen engine that maybe is getting, not results you're thrilled with, but that's feeding the organization right now. And so in an enterprise, you're going to be looking at what are the kind of the low performing tiers or the highest opportunity tiers, and how do we begin to use ABM to supplement or replace what we're doing there slowly. But you're not going to be able just to tear out the whole demand gen organization and process and then put account-based marketing in at once. So knowing where to apply pressure first, whether that's in kind of your very top accounts and start something there,
right,
or doing a pilot by focusing on an underperforming sales territory and maybe go and boost results by helping someone catch up or a group catch up. We also see in the enterprise something that's really different from, again, a startup. is that they have huge opportunity in their customer base versus new account acquisition. So when we're working with startups, it's almost all focused on new business because they don't have a customer base to expand. In an enterprise, probably the majority of revenue opportunity is actually increasing share of wallet, it's cross-sell, upsell, introducing a new product.
Or life cycle.
And yeah, life cycle approach where you're getting more value over time. And so that's the other thing with enterprise I would always recommend is starting with where can you introduce a new product or run an upsell or cross-sell cadence into your best accounts rather than focusing on new business. There tends to be more opportunity there.
Awesome. So, as in with any demand gen marketing, ABM content is a key part of it. Most ABM programs are more narrow focused, segmented, so content can be more of a challenge. That, obviously people want to get to the level of personalization in some cases, or at least customization. How critical is that, do you see it, and how are companies getting a phased approach to more customized content?
Yeah, so a lot of companies already have somewhat customized content by things like vertical or size of company. They just don't have the means to deploy those to anything except for inbound. So being able to take an account-based approach and begin pushing out verticalized or other types of segmented content that you already have can be very effective. But at some point you do have to get more customized. So things we see working really well would be taking things that are, again, the upsell play we just talked about. Right. What's a portion of our customer base that is deploying product one, and so we know that this other solution we have is going to be a huge value add for them. Well, you might not have content for that yet. Maybe sales is handling all the conversations around those. So identifying what are our sales reps having the most success with from an account expansion standpoint, and beginning to build content that facilitates that, and then deploying that through your channels can be very effective. One-to-one content is also really important, but it's just very difficult to scale. And so what we're beginning to see is tools emerge, and we're developing these ourselves called Smart Pages that allow you to take some customized content and then build one-to-one versions of it for hundreds or thousands of accounts at once. That's something that marketers have known and instinctively works really well one-to-one, but they just haven't been able to scale it before, and so that's a problem we're tackling too.
And then that could be integrated more at the sales level as opposed to at a mass level.
Yeah, it can go out through marketing channels, but it's also an asset that you hand off to your sales reps and say, hey, I can see that you're reaching out to these 100 accounts or these 50 accounts in your territory that you're managing. Here's a one-to-one link for all of them that's going to speak specifically to their needs. They can share it around with the buyers group internally, and that sales rep is then going to see all the engagement that comes back off of that. That's a huge value add for sales.
Right. So when we started Demand Gen Report a little over a decade ago, we kind of grew up with marketing automation was the driver. It was kind of all of the rage at that point. Still, obviously, a critical part of demand generation. A lot of what B2B marketers are doing. How do you see that related to where we are with ABM?
Yeah, we view account-based marketing as a transition state in B2B. We don't think that people are going to be talking about ABM as a separate category 5 years from now, just like people don't talk about marketing automation as a special part of B2B marketing. It's how almost everyone's doing it. And we think account-based marketing is going to be that ubiquitous as well. And the orchestration of all of your marketing channels and even the first steps of sales follow-up from a central orchestration platform, we think is where things are headed. So ABM is going to continue to be kind of the tip of the spear on how people are introducing these tactics, how people are training their organizations to think in an account-based way. But from the results that we're seeing and the continued investment that I'm sure you're seeing with your customers you work with, this is going to be the way that B2B works in a few years.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting about Gigster because it was so fundamental and foundational to everything they do.
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, this has been great. I really appreciate you making time again.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Thanks, Andrew.
Great.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye.